talking about Gibbs and his versatility, and like we talked about his ability to not only rush the ball but to catch passes. I said it I think a week ago or a couple weeks ago. I really think that we'll see him in his career have a season with over 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving.
That's crazy.
Like, I mean, I think it's CMC and Marshall Faulk are the only other two who've done it off the top of my head that I can think of. But I mean, Gibbs, in his flashes, his abilities. I mean, he had 500 passing or receiving yards this year. And we all know how much he was like sharing the backfield with Monty. I mean, Monty's not going to be here eventually. He's a little bit more, long in the tooth compared to Gibbs.
Yeah, technically, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, that's just the facts of the matter, And so I think we'll see Gibbs for a lot more. I think, the way we've seen Alvin Kamara just burst on the scene once Mark Ingram was no longer in New Orleans.
You're bringing the context this morning.
Yeah, and then looking at where Dan Campbell came from and seeing how that model works, coming from New Orleans to Detroit, bringing all of that philosophy and success with him. So, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Jahmyr Gibbs with an insane season of 2,300 plus yards from scrimmage. I mean, it seems crazy, but we got a whole extra
he going,
game.
Bro. And you do feel like that's on the horizon, and you got to give Brad Holmes credit. This is why he took him so early in the draft. And he took him, he could have took Bijan, but he instead took Jahmyr Gibbs, and I think they saw the vision. And now that you have this guy for another 3 years before you have to re-sign him, and imagine what Jahmyr Gibbs can do in another 3 years from now. And then, the thing is, we don't pay running backs in terms of football. Jahmyr Gibbs might shatter that principle because if he gives us another 3 years of just what he's done this year, let alone if he gets better, then, oh my God, you got to break the bank for this guy.
You're going to have to. And honestly, I'm comfortable with what they've shown already to be able to do that. To know that they went and they paid some of their guys already and they still had money to get active at the deadline. To know that the guys that you trust with the money are the types of guys, especially if winning is at the forefront, that will restructure if it means winning. They know that they're going to get their bag. You got Sheila as your owner of this organization and his team. You have good people in that front office organization. And when you look at what they did for both Barry and Calvin, two of their biggest mismanaged relationships with former players, that's where I believe these players can have even more hope. You see players go out there and restructure for less. For less than organizations. We've seen when the Lions were less than. Calvin, what would he do? Because he wanted this team to win so bad. And now we actually got the coach. We actually got the personnel. We actually got the front office that, if I sacrifice right now, I know that it will pay dividends right now. Yeah. Especially you can trust leaving that in the hands of visionaries like Dan Campbell and like Brad Holmes. I'm so glad that you talked about Dan Campbell's former tracks in his path, Cavassier Chase GPT, because it's something that when he got hired, I told people too, look, you guys got to look at the tree. Bill Parcells and Sean Payton, they all don't understand. You think about both sides of it, from the defense and the offense. So Dan Campbell had the eye of who to go out in there and identify, and when it wasn't working, shifted up really quickly, and they've brought in the right types of people who probably love the way they play. The Lions, in my opinion, have perfected what NFL football actually wants to be. Fast, aggressive, hard-hitting, and clean. Low fines, low flags, low ejections. Period, man. Period. And that's what, when you look at kind of Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, that's on the offensive side of the ball too. You look at Penei Sewell. It's crazy to see this man blocking so far down the field sometimes and just steamrolling people. Yeah. And now it's to the point that when I see him out in front sometimes, you see some of those secondary members, they got to make a business decision.
Right. And who wants to stand in front of Penei Sewell when he's charging at you? Come on now.
Man, and that's the thing. It's it's awesome we get to kind of even talk about the other aspects of the squad, because when you talk to Jahmyr Gibbs about, hey, you got player of the week and player of the month, he's like, man, my offensive line is so great, man. You know what Jared Goff does.
You got to give him the credit.
The defense, they gave us all these opportunities. And that's what this is, man. The vibes are just immaculate.
He's a team player, bro. And that's what you love to see. That plays into the culture bit. Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, they love culture guys, man. And he is one of those guys. And just shout out to them for being able to identify a talent like this.
Yeah, definitely. You can go up and down the PFF stuff and the scores, and it has him listed overall as the 6th best overall grade for running backs. And it's like, you know what? At 88.5 in his rushing grade, at 90.7 4th overall. In his receiving grade, 74.4 on PFF, 9th overall out of 47 running backs. So he's doing this thing, and I do wonder what those numbers are going to look like next year when he is just the just you're the number one back. Because what we see with Jamar Jefferson and Craig Reynolds right now, you take all of their carries and all their targets, you give them to David Montgomery, and you could still have this version of Jahmyr Gibbs that we see right now leading the way with a few extra targets per game. That gives you an opportunity to have more home runs. They just pieced up the Minnesota Vikings off of like a couple home run plays from Jahmyr Gibbs. Yeah. And we've seen them do this before. The Chargers game last year is one of those epitomizers because David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs both went ping, ping. Mm-hmm. But when's the last time, like how often do we see that out of David Montgomery versus out of Jahmyr Gibbs? I expect it almost 1 or 2 times a game where he's going to sauce up a linebacker. Like if I don't see it, it's like, whoa, where did Jahmyr play? Right.
No, I get that. And, you know, not to poo-poo on what you're saying, but somebody in the chat said it. Monty is the anchor. So even going forward, I'm not sure if the I don't know, the snap share, you would say. I'm not sure that changes a whole lot because Monty, he takes a lot of that beating and keeps that off of Jahmyr Gibbs. I said this on a couple shows previous. Like, I think Monty plays that role for that reason, so he can get out there and he can really utilize his speed to the fullest of his ability. So going forward, they signed Monty, you know, through 2027. So as long as Monty is in his backfield, I think that, you know, the share will remain the same. But Jahmyr Gibbs is such a dynamic back. He's going to make the most out of his touches, and he's only going to get better from here.
Hey, definitely. And you know what? I see the chat is alive with it as well. And just let's get that like button up there. And also, I just want to know what you guys think. Jahmyr Gibbs, is he one of one, top 2, top 3, top 4, top 5? Let me know where he ranks for you among NFL running backs. And that's a good point by you as well, because I hope that David Montgomery is one of those backs who is here for a long time, understands where things are trending, and you never want to, I don't want to pocket watch nobody, but if it works for him to stay long term, I'm willing to just settle down here in Detroit, even if that means taking a pay cut as Jahmyr Gibbs needs more. Man, oh man, oh man. And you know what goes a long way for that? Culture.
No, absolutely.
The type of culture that they're setting here, the way that they took care of David Montgomery, not once, but twice, when his own team didn't want to, and the rest of the league thought that he was done. Think about when we got David Montgomery and got Jahmyr Gibbs, how everybody else was looking at what the rest of the league was doing. Even this past offseason, when some of the NFC North made changes at the running back position, how quickly were they like, oh, yeah, these running back rooms are now better than the, I would say, y'all chill with that.
Yeah, nah.
Chill. And David Montgomery started the year off like, y'all forgot, I'm 5 to 6 yards a carry.
Yeah.
Straight up. And you're right, as the anchor, he's the guy that you probably want taking this type of a beating. You probably don't want Jahmyr Gibbs doing necessarily what David Montgomery is doing in that type of a volume, because think about this. David Montgomery, at worst right now, it's a sprained knee as a battering ram.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah,
so
he went most of the season healthy.
That's what I'm saying. He's coming back.
Yep. So look forward to it, man.
Question
3 in Swisher Break, or statement 3. How the Lions defense plays is more crucial to their playoff success than how the offense plays. Swish or brick. How the Lions defense plays is more crucial to their playoff success than how the offense plays. Swish or brick.
I'm going to say brick. I believe that the offense has enough to carry this defense. I really do. Yeah. I believe that the defense has enough to not crater, but this offense is the healthy, more elite side of the ball for this Detroit Lions team. And you got a guy in Jared Goff who's supposed to be a part of the MVP conversation, whether you think he's top 5 or top 3 or whatever. You got a running back in Jahmyr Gibbs, who many people are believing now he's top 3 in the NFL, if not top 5. Just one player of the week, player of the month. So I do believe that, like you said, knock on wood, as long as JG's upright, as long as you got that offensive line, as long as you got those playmakers out there, you give yourself a really good chance to go into the playoffs and win. Why? Because they make other teams have to be perfect. Sam Darnold and those Vikings, they couldn't be as perfect. There was so much pressure that the offense was able to put on them. And even when we seen the defense not at its best, we still saw the offense be able to pull some things through. So I'm gonna say brick on that one.
Hey, serving up softballs. I'm seeing a lot of back and forth friction in the chat on this one. Hey, that's fine, man. Chase, what you got for us, bro?
What was the question again?
All right, so how the Lions defense plays is more crucial to their playoff success than how the offense plays.
So it's back and forth.
Brick. Yeah, I mean, you gotta score the most points to win the game.
That's true, but you also gotta limit some teams now.
Yeah, but if you can keep your offense on the field and their defense on the field, then with running the ball with dynamic, with a
Control
good
the time
run
of possession.
Yeah,
But that also means getting stops.
Yeah, but I mean, to do that, you have to have a really, really good offensive line and a really good quarterback and really good running backs, and all the Lions check all those boxes. So, I mean, if the offense and the running game can control the line of scrimmage, control the clock, then, I mean, if you don't have the ball, you can't score.
Yeah, and I get what people are saying. You got to score the football, but if the Lions, lose the toss or win the toss and they got to go on defense first, then it's a boat race at that point. So you got to get some stops at some point. I mean, that's all I'm saying.
Well, it's a boat race if you're playing the Bills, but I just don't. Some of these other teams, I feel like they'll fall apart offensively and defensively before the Lions fall apart offensively at all. And
I got you.
I believe that offense puts so much pressure on the other teams. They have to be perfect offensively because Jared Goff can take this team on a 10-minute drive, an 8-minute drive like it's nothing.
Facts, yeah. JB, I will present the question. How the Lions defense plays is more crucial to their playoff success than how the offense plays. Swish or brick?
I think I got to go with Swish on this one because I'm not concerned with the offense. Like, Jared Goff is out there. I believe in him wholeheartedly. He will do whatever needs to be done to get in the end zone once again. It's this defense that I still have a little bit of questions about. I know Aiden said, dude, if you guys just get there, I will be there. 2 more games, and then he will be back. You got to lean back as well, too, which is helping boost his defense a little bit, too. But I don't know if they can just go out there every single rep and give it 100% energy without, needing a little bit more extra boost to them. So I think the defense will be the main concern. I do think AG will have something schemed up, but this needs to rely on the defense to go out there and get stops because, as I said, it's the playoffs. Things get a lot tougher and a lot more difficult out there for you. So, defense, I need you to step up.
And you know what? And remember, chat family, we got the giveaway going. Anybody who does enter their answer with a $4.99 or higher super chat, they get entered to win a Civilian 16, Jared Goff t-shirt from the Woodward Sports Merch Shop.
Designed from my boy JB. Got to throw that in there.
To
but
JB, you're right.
The chat going crazy on this. You got some chat responses?
I do see some chat responses in here, and it seems like it's going in waves, man. Wheezy D313, pizza B. Oh, pizza. All right, that's not an answer.
All right.
But 9mm said Swish, Steve Lehman, Brick, and then look, Al Deloney, Brick. Detroit Caviar says Swish. Caviar, I'm sorry, says Swish.
Yeah.
Dante 151, Swish. Jake Wagner, Brick. All phases matter. And it's just going back and forth here in the chat, man. It's going back and forth.
I think
people are a little split.
I think me and JB is on one with this one because in the playoffs, things do get a lot tighter. The margin for errors are way smaller. And this defense is going to have to get some stops. I don't think the stats matter per se, but you're going to have to get crucial stops in big moments of the game. And if your defense can't do that, then the Lions' playoff chances are going to be in question.
But does crucial stops mean that they're carrying, or does it mean they get the checkmate? Because we've seen Aaron Glenn and his team be bend but don't break. They will give up the yards, but then play stout. I expect that out of this defense, even if they give up big yards.
True.
But I know if the offense doesn't control that time of possession, the defense won't have a chance.
No, absolutely. And it's going to come down to third down defense, and it's going to come down to red zone defense. Mm-hmm. I believe if they can get stops in those areas, aside from whatever else happens in the game, they'll be okay. But they are going to have to get those stops. The offense, I'm not necessarily worried about. JG, he's been here before. He's done that. This offense, they're a well-oiled machine. They're ready to go. You getting Monty back. The offensive line is intact. The receivers are the receivers. I think the offense will be okay, but you got to do them some favors, defense. And not to say that they won't, but it's going to be even more important for this defense to go out there and provide some stops.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, let's get one more in, and I want to be able to give some time for the NFL playoff outlook.
Yeah, big facts.
So let's get one more Swisher break, and we'll give the people another opportunity they want to enter for a chance to win some merch today.
Yeah, ooh,
$5 super chat or more, and you get entered during the Swisher break.
I had another 3 good ones, man. But you want Wings, you want Pistons, you want Lions. I mean, I think it's pretty easy, but
ooh.
Talk Lions, bitch.
Talk Lions.
You got TLB. To, man. I already knew that was going to be the one.
Right. But and save those other ones. We're going to do this a lot more often than not.
All right, bet. All right. Other than Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs will be the most important offensive player in the playoffs. Swish or brick?
One more time.
Other than Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs will be the most important offensive player in the playoffs for the Lions. Swish or brick. And maybe even the whole playoffs. Swish or brick.
I think that honestly is a pregame Jalen Duren dunk.
Oh, wow.
It's
layup
that
line.
easy. It's a layup line, man. This is one of those, we're just at the practice facility. You made me mad, and I'm just dunking everything. That's where I'm at with this. It's definitely a swish. You've seen the effect that Jahmyr Gibbs has had stepping up over the last month, where a lot of people had doubts and worries about how would the Lions overcome all of these losses. And to see him be able to step up in that way, it was really, really, really big. Yeah. Going over close to like 150 total yards almost every game. The 4 touchdowns in one game, 3 on the ground, 1 through the air. I switched, bro.
Hey, I'm liking that. And Terrell Lamar, I see you, bro. I have not been watching ESPN. They do not got me shook, man. But Chase, my dog, what you got on this one, man?
Yeah, I'm going to say it's a swish as well. I mean, I can't pick the whole offensive line. That's more of a unit.
You're right.
But yeah, so like individually, yeah, it would have to be Gibbs. I mean,
if he's having success on the ground, then the O-line's doing their job.
And we were talking about it in the other question before about like how can this offense, aid the defense? That's by controlling the clock, controlling the ground, taking a lot of time off the clock, gaining those chunk yards, moving the chains consistently. And so, I mean, yeah, if that's how we're going to win games. That's how we've been trying to build this team and win games from the start of Dan Campbell's coaching tenure. So, I mean, that's the identity of the Lions.
Yes, sir. Jay Bizzle.
Man, I'm conflicted with this one because I really want to say swish and go with Gibbs, but I think I'm going to do brick with this one. I think it's Amon-Ra St. Brown for me, dude. I got to go with Amon-Ra. Like, he's seen the effort that it took last year to get this far, to get this deep into the playoffs. You mean to tell me right now he's not going to be hungry for more? He wants more out there every single play. I agree with Gibbs and what Chase said as well, too, about moving the chains. That means your O-line is having a very good day. But at the same time, Amon-Ra just wants this more. I can see him out there fighting to get through defenders, making plays. So give me Amon-Ra.
And in the playoffs last year, it was Amon-Ra.
Yeah. And listen, I'm not mad at that take because what does Amon-Ra do best? He gets third downs, he gets fourth downs, and he gets first downs.
And he makes the big catches in the playoffs, man. I still remember it so vividly in my mind, seeing something that we don't really see often, and that was our offense. Not just kind of icing the game away with the ball in their hands, being able to close the game on victory formation, but they did it passing. They passed it to Amon-Ra St. Brown, got to the sticks, got the first down, and that's not a bad one at all, JB Smooth. You can never go wrong picking Amon-Ra St. Brown.
No, absolutely. And if you're in a tight game and late in the game, if you need to close out a drive or have a long drive to end the game, and you can pass the ball to Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's there. He doesn't drop the ball. I mean, he has 0 drops this year, so he does not drop the ball, and you're going to need him in tight spots, man. But what the chat got for me, man?
Hey, I'm looking here. Steve Lehman, $5 super chat. The offense cannot come out and play like they did against the Vikings if we're in the opposing red zone. Just run the darn ball. No more INT. So maybe he's leaning towards a little bit of that Jahmyr Gibbs. But I'm seeing some in here. I see Penei Sewell. I'm seeing Amon-Ra St. Brown from David Blair. David Witt says Penei Sewell. Let me see here. L. Deloney, $5. Dan preaches complimentary football. We need them both. $5 super chat. So I guess he's saying Jahmyr Gibbs and Jared Goff.
Yeah.
Xavier D says swish, no doubt. I'm trying to see if there's any other players. Brick, the sun god does exist. That's from Joshua McKenzie.
Absolutely.
Weezy D313. I need Saint to be Himothy.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. And he will be, trust me.
Yep, I'm seeing if there's any more super chats here that came through. Nope. And you're keeping track of all those super chats to pick your winner?
I got them saved over here as well, too.
Yeah. Dope. Real quick, I'll just give my take, but absolutely, I think this is a swish, especially considering that Monty isn't going to be 100%. We all know the Lions' strength is running the football. You got the best O-line in the league to me, and Jahmyr Gibbs is ascending as one of, if not the best running back in the NFC and maybe the whole NFL. So you have to go out there and run the football, and Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be a key cog in that machine. And it's, like I said earlier, it's not just running the ball, it's what he can do out of the backfield and also blocking for Jared Goff, keeping him protected on play actions and things of that nature.
Hey, look, man, we got some love here in the chat, too, for J-Mo. So I just want to call that out. Eric Allen says J-Mo in all caps.
Forget about J-Mo.
J-Mo gonna play a big role in this playoffs.
That's what Denver Blair literally said. J-Mo changes to a different player during the playoffs. So, you know what? Shout out to KG on cooking this up last night. You know, you guys understand it's late nights, it's early mornings, and it's all day doing this stuff for a lot of the people here at Woodward Sports. Shout out to you, man, for cooking it up the segment because we were all doing stuff last night.
Yeah, man, it was crazy. It's crazy.
All of us. So, hey, 499 super chat from Dante151. Brick, we can't forget about J-Mo, Tim Patrick, Laporta. And shout out to Mike Reed, who just gifted 5 Woodward Sports memberships. And just
shout out.
One more. Yeah, you guys understand what those memberships are going to get you, right? The new content that's on the way. It's going to be for members. So if you got that membership, you get an opportunity to be able to watch things like On the Reel with Neil, where he's just going in.
I don't know if they ready for that one.
Flamethrower with Stick. They've already
They
got
not ready for that either.
Hey, you know what? Woodward Ringside. Woodward Pistons.
Yep.
Hey, a couple more different game shows and things that are going to be right here at Woodward Sports. Culture stuff, culture vibes. It's going to be epic. So shout out to Mike Reed for gifting those memberships. I see you guys in the chat. El Gato got one. Vanilla Gorilla got one. That's an interesting name. Kyle Bird. Sauce Tin. Hey, shout out to you all. So let's get into this next segment because I want to be able to give you the opportunity to break down this NFL playoffs. Yeah. I like your football mind. You're one of our football knowers here. You want to talk about the implications and